the purposes of our uh, advertising out to our YouTube audience, and I'm also going to cut it off at a certain point, just so it's just you and I, and we get to do some really good Q&A time together. If you have a question, now here's what you do. The best thing you can do if you have a question is to write it down, because a lot of people have questions and they forget the question they had because something came up in the thing, and they don't have it anymore. So I encourage every one of you, if you have a question, write it down. Those of you joining on our YouTube audience today, welcome. Please feel free to share this broadcast out with your friends and family and people you love and people you know. I'm going to be teaching today about how to save a relationship or a marriage that appears to be on the rocks. How do you redeem that? Okay, I'm back with camera one. Thank you. Okay, now, am I in the center? Sorry, I have this need to align myself. Is that good? Okay, good, because I don't want to trigger anybody's OCD. Am I in the center? Okay, all right. Well, let's begin. How do you save a relationship or a marriage that's on the rocks? And my wife is actually on, so Chachi, feel free anytime you want to chime in and just talk. I say the first thing I'll say is this. Most people are oblivious to the fact that their relationship is dying. Most people are actually oblivious to the fact that their relationship or their marriage is dying. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the kind of the understanding that most men, especially, don't necessarily externalize their complaint. And sometimes they do. But sometimes they don't. And so in a marriage, you'll be shocked one day when he walks out, and I've seen countless relationships where both couples believe everything is going okay until you sit down and ask the couple what's happening, and one of them comes up with something that the other one didn't expect to come up in the relationship, because most relationships are in denial. Denial, write this down, denial. Denial is an acronym for don't even know I am lying. Most relationships don't even know they're lying, because our relationships and our marriages are PR stunted versions of ourselves. They're our best CV to the world that lets everybody think and assume we're doing okay. And the more kids you have, the more the desire to keep up the appearances of a relationship as opposed to the reality of it. The more titles you have, the more functions you have, the more people call you pastor, or in my case, prophet or apostle, or CEO or doctor, whoever it is you are, the more in denial we become. Reason number two, most marriages fail, is because 100% of the people normally end up at the beginning of marriage in what I call a phantom affair. Most people get into marriage in what I call a phantom affair. Now, what is a phantom affair, you might ask? It sounds clandestine, it sounds illustrious, it sounds a little naughty. What exactly is a clandestine, a phantom affair? Well, a phantom affair is a fantasy or an ideal of what marriage should be, prefaced off of the reality. A phantom is, and I know especially in the African circles of the church, we call this a spirit husband, and maybe it is. I'm not yet, I don't know where I stand on the theology of spirit husbands or spirit wives, so don't ask me about my understanding of it. I believe that there is something there to be said for that. But most people enter into marriage with this phantom or ghost husband or ghost wife. And if you're not willing to divorce the ideal will kill the reality. If you're not willing to divorce the ideal will eventually kill the reality. The phantom affairs are cancerous to marriage, and a cancer is anything that feeds off of living cells. And so a phantom love, my wife's giving me a round of applause right here. I feel like, oh, I have my audience. Oh, baby, thank you. I don't know why I still swoon at her affirmation. A phantom ideal, a phantom love, a phantom relationship, a phantom ideation that you concoct will eventually destroy the reality. And I figure about 90% of marriages enter into marriage, if they're willing to admit it to themselves. You marry the ideal and then you live with the reality. And most of your arguments are arguments that are competing with the phantom ideal. The phantom ideal is competing with the reality. And so in the phantom ideal, in the phantom realm of love, your husband knows how to wash the dishes, take out, or at least take out a dishwasher, or take out the trash on time, or he's just the perfect romantic when he knows how to do it. He's a defender, he's a protector, he's a pit bull when he needs to be. He's aggressive at all the right times, and he's gentle at all the right times. In your phantom world, he picks you up all the time. He kisses you on your forehead. You know that spot that women always want to be kissed, right there in the bullseye. And he kisses you there every time he sees you. In your phantom world, he's carrying you over the veranda of the house and swooning you around and making you feel like you're protected and you're taken care of and you're nurtured. But in the reality, his belly is now hanging over his belt. He's gained a little bit of weight. He's now developing breasts that are making you question what's happening to him. Everything is sagging towards gravity. You're not sure how to tell him you don't like his hairy chest. He just, and he's kind of arrogant, and he's cocky and high-minded, and he's proud, and he's defiant, and he doesn't listen to you, and he always tells you, no, you can't do anything. And so eventually, what a lot of especially women are geared towards is women are very geared towards fantasy. And fantasy is why women are consumers of love books. It's why the market for the Shades of Grey or 50 Shades of Grey was driven to such a roaring success. It's why women buy love novels and love books more than men do, because the only way to survive a brutal situation is to evade the reality and enter into the fantasy realm. And the fantasy realm is twofold. One of the biggest dangers of the fantasy realm is the history realm. The history realm is when you search the archives of past relationships and you preface and you go, I wish I married ABC. I wish I dated ABC. In high school, I would have been a lot better if I made this choice as opposed to this choice. That's a terrible compete. Another terrible compete is comparing your spouse with your father. My dad would never do this. My dad treats me like this. My dad's this. If you're a daddy's girl, then you're going to enter into trouble in the marriage game, because your spouse is always going to feel male energy stepping into a male space. The other danger is where there's no particular guy. It's just your mind meditating and creating a phantom person that is based on Hollywood, a movie, something you watch, or something in your mind that you considered your ideal. Women tend to go to the places of fantasy. Men tend to go to the places of history. Now, that can often flip again, but women are more in that realm of emotion and imagination, so they'll tend to seep more into a coping mechanism of a fantasy, and men tend to seep more into history. Now, there's a reason why porn is increasing among women, by the way, statistically. You know, gone are the days where you say, are men struggling with porn? Because now women are carrying those same struggles as well, and the same shame, the same fear, the same guilt. And so these issues have to be addressed because they're external things that ruin the vineyard of love. Another thing that ruins the vineyard of love. So we've spoken about denial, we've spoken about phantom affairs. Another thing that ruins the love is resentment. Resentment is the conversation you've told yourself you've had with the other person that you've never actually had. So resentment is another big cancer of love, because resentment is the conversation you've told yourself you've had with the other person, but you really haven't had that conversation. Marriages fail, not because of what you said. Marriages fail because of what you didn't say. Marriages fail because of what you were too afraid to say. Marriages fail because of the things that you didn't identify or talk to your spouse about directly. Majority of the time in love, it's usually the woman that doesn't want to hurt her spouse. So women tend to stay silent because women don't like hurting people. You'll be amazed when men and women go on dates, that you interview the man after the date, the man says, it was great, I smashed it, knocked it out the park, I'm looking forward to the next date, can't wait for the next time. And you ask the woman, same date. The woman's like, nah, I don't think I'm going to see him again. But during the dating time, she'll say stuff like, I really enjoyed our time together. It was great. Maybe, we can meet again sometime. She'll say all the things that will make him think this was a good date. But at the end of it, you realize she just didn't want to hurt his feelings. And so he's scoring himself 10 out of 10. Look what I did. I knocked that one out the park. Best date ever. And she scored him with a score that is like, nope, don't want to see him again. He's cute. He may be a good friend. But this is not the one for me. And you realize that majority of the time resentment builds up in marriage is for the same reason. We don't want to hurt each other. So we'd rather offset things to a time where we're angry. We'd rather offset things to a time, because anger is intoxicating. So now you're arguing, now you're yelling, and we often use arguments as a time to insert, like dodgy politicians. Do you use the word dodgy? I don't know if you use that word. That's a British term. Okay, good. Some of you use it. Like a dodgy person is like a person who's doing devious things. So like you're like dodgy politicians. You know what dodgy politicians do, right? Dodgy politicians will have a bill. Let's say the bill is called End Police Brutality Bill. And in the End Police Brutality Bill, they'll slip stuff into the document like $5 million going towards LGBT education, and you're like, what does that have to do with the first bill you signed? Tamer, I don't know if you can spot this emergency that's happening right now. Yes. Yeah. Babe, are you still? Yep. Yeah, okay, he's turning me around. Baby. Okay, this is live. Baby. There's a. Yes. There's a. Okay. That's all right. Thank you. Can you lock the door so that doesn't happen? Thank you. So we begin to see that marriage is the same. Some people in marriage, all they end up doing is they insert their their feelings in the midst of an argument. Let's say you're arguing about, I don't know, he didn't pick up the kids, he forgot. He was too busy, he was busy at work and he forgot the kids again. Now you're arguing about that, arguing about that, arguing about that. Then somewhere along the line, you pull in the fact that he said your rice was not salty enough or was too salty, and that comes into the argument. He's like, what are we talking about? Where did this come from? And it's now you're utilizing that moment of anger to fill in the stuff that you were too busy bottling inside to deal with. And so you'll discover that majority of the time relationships end in disaster. It's because of the things that you didn't say. Resentment builds up like poison on the inside of one or the other spouse, and things fall apart. Now, men are more prone to resentment than women. You would think a woman scorned is actually biblical and women carry stronger resentment than men. No, you will be shocked that men carry stronger resentment than women do. And you'll be like, well, I just have not really seen it. Exactly. That's the thing. So a man's resentment is a stealthy resentment. He will despise and you won't even know he's despising. He'll be grieving and you won't even know he's grieving. He'll be angry and you won't even know he's angry. And even when you ask him what he's angry about, he may end up saying nothing when really there's a pile of things on the inside of him that he's angry about. But the thing is, men ultimately always choose peace over conflict. Men ultimately always choose peace over conflict. Now, you ask a woman, what do you want as a woman? If I was to do a survey of the number one thing women want, now just give me an air high five if I've hit this one. If I'm wrong, then forgive me. But the number one thing women want at the top of their need is openness and honesty. Give me an air high five if I'm sort of right. Okay, so a couple of you give me an air high five. So you want to know you can trust this joker, right? If he kills somebody, you'll probably help him bury the body and burn the enamel. You'll probably do all the things to protect him. You'll be his Cody in the courtroom. You'll take the crime for him. But if he ever breaks your trust, right? That's like the hardest thing. That's like the murder. That's like murdering the woman. Is like having your trust broken. So you understand those things. So women know that in the entirety of their world, they want a spouse that will never break their heart, never cheat on them, never have an affair, is totally open and honest with them. That's like optimal. Am I right? Give me an air high five if I'm going somewhere. Tell me if I'm not, and I'll be okay to move on. So you want him to be open with, in other words, you want trust. You want to be able to know that you have somebody lying next to you that you can trust. You can put your heart in his hand, and just like your daddy took care of your heart, he's going to take care of your heart as well. Now, 10 times out of 10, I've never been wrong that that's what a woman wants. Maybe you'll be the woman with the exception today and be like, I don't care if he's open or honest. Maybe you'll be the exception. But 10 times out of 10, women want trust. But trust comes with truth. Trust comes with truth. And so, and somebody put security. Yes, security is the result of a trustworthy relationship, but trust comes with truth. And most women, if I can be, is it Jerry Maguire? Maybe I'm wrong in my movie trivia, but it's like, do you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Most women want the truth, but most women can't handle the truth. So I'm dealing with, again, you're like, well, what about the men? Okay, but, this is a talk about WOAHMAN t-shirt. Get your t-shirt, get your merch, wear it. It will protect you against any offense that I give you, I promise you. I'm not offended listening to me because I'm wearing this t-shirt, okay? So get the t-shirt. So most women don't want truth. And this brings me back to denial. You know, most women don't want truth. I'll never forget the day I sat down with a woman in counseling and I was asking her, if your husband ever cheated, would you ever want to know? And she kind of went, And the fact that she thought about it, she was like, I don't know. I don't know. And the fact that she thought about it made me realize that denial is a powerful drug. It's like I would rather live in a false reality where this is just not happening, because it doesn't just shatter your world, it shatters your kids' world, it shatters your in-laws' world, it shatters, lots of things get destroyed on the way to breaking trust. And so I don't know if most women, maybe I can't speak for women in this aspect, but I was shocked when I realized that there's a lot of women who would rather not know if their spouse was in any way acting nefariously. And so I found that really interesting. What I'm going to say is this. I think that what happens in marriage is denial sets in so strong that if you don't create a place for truth telling, your marriage is only as healthy as its capacity to receive truth without the reflex of offense. Somebody needs to write that down. Your marriage, I'm not even sure I can say it twice. Your marriage is only as healthy as its ability to receive truth without the reflex of offense. So every man has this thing, right? So we weigh the odds. So if men were here, they'd agree with this. They weigh the odds. They go, So a man's optimal need, one of his optimal needs, is sex. It's not a woman's optimal need, but it is a need. But a man needs sexual gratification. He needs it. It's not a want. It's a need. And so marriage is also about testosterone management. Once you give sexual intercourse to a man, it brings down his testosterone, it increases his dopamine, men become happier when they're sexually engaging their spouses. Now, a woman can shut down her sexual drive because a lack of openness and honesty turns her off. A lack of openness and honesty makes her feel like she's being raped or abused. So a woman can just go, because intimacy for a woman is open, it's honesty. It's like, if you're not giving me honesty, am I helping somebody today? Okay, I need your preaching face to be on. So, give me some of this if I'm preaching good. Okay, so if you're not giving her openness, if you're not giving her honesty, if you're not giving her communication even, then a man can come home from work and just, sleep with his wife, and she ends up feeling raped and touched and violated, and sex just becomes this icky, disconnected place, and the man rolls over like, well, that was great for me, I had a good time, and he goes to sleep, and you feel totally disengaged and used like an object, and just finished. Now, what happens in that is very dangerous. There's this kind of pay for play that often happens in relationships, where if a woman is not feeling like she's not getting that honesty from her spouse, then she shuts down sexual intimacy with things like, oh baby, I'm tired. And that's the one most men dread to hear. Oh, baby, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so tired. Now, just imagine if there's, by the way, just imagine, and I know, but just imagine, by the way, if the shoe was on the other foot. Imagine him rejecting you sexually. Whoa. Imagine you making a sexual advance towards your spouse and him going, not today, babe. I mean, you would feel all kinds of ways. Just saying, just throwing that out there. But there's a reason why most women build that wall. They build that wall, and if you're not married yet, please just put this in your back pocket. You're gonna need it. Don't you? You don't have a license to sex if you're single at all. Period. Hands down. No, time out. It's not for you. Okay, not even sexual things. Don't even. Yeah, just put it in your back pocket. Save it for when you're married. Okay. Marriage is the license to sex, just like war is a license to kill. If you're not in marriage, you are violating the rules of engagement. I just need to make that resoundingly clear. If you're living with your spouse, sleeping with your spouse, and your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever it is, then you are violating God's principles. Okay, so this is not for you. But put this in your back pocket, because when you're married, you're going to remember this. You're going to, oh, that's what Apostle meant by feeling used, because that's how I feel right now. So what happens is a lot of women end up feeling that way. And they feel that way because they don't feel like there's a marriage. And for a woman to feel like there's a marriage, she needs to feel like she's heard. She needs to feel like she's been listened to. She needs to feel like there's communication that's flowing back and forth, that there's touch that's not just in the night, but there's touch throughout the day. You know, there's intimacy, there's laughter, there's banter, there's joy throughout the day. So at night, it just flows fluidly. A man could not touch you throughout the whole day, and then at night come home and it's like, what just happened to me? Did my whole world just get violated by my husband? And really, it's because, you know, a man builds his day, and then testosterone builds up, and then stress hormones build up, and the way he lowers his stress hormones is through sexual act. And a sexual act doesn't always mean sexual intimacy. Men are capable of having what I call, well, what I learned is a new word, maintenance sex. A man can have sex just to maintain his stress levels. So for men, sex can be functional, whereas for women, sex is intimate. In other words, men aren't always making love, and women aren't always making love either, but men aren't always making love. Sometimes men are taking love. They're taking something for themselves. But a woman, for her, lovemaking should be based on the fact that you warmed me up throughout the day. You sent me messages halfway through the day saying, thinking about you, baby. Thinking about you, miss you, my dear. Just checking up and seeing how you are. Just calling you just to say I miss you and I can't wait for you to come home and blah, blah, and all those things. And there's all that touch. There needs to be that throughout the day. So what happens is there's this playoff where a woman starts usually to close down sexually. She doesn't want to feel violated. She doesn't want to feel abused. She doesn't want to feel like that she's being used as a body for sex. So she closes down emotionally, and then a man starts to resent her because he's no longer getting sexual pleasure. And so that friction is like, now what a man is left with is, okay, she wants openness and honesty. Does she really? There's this common statement, well, it's not common. It was a joke my wife and I did together when Vine was alive. I don't know if any of you ever remember Vine, but Vine was like replaced by TikTok, I guess. When Vine was a thing, my wife and I used to be on there just as our thing to do for fun. And we did this Vine together where she said, you just got to face your problem. She said, you just got to face your problems. And I said, well, how do I face my problem when my problem is your face? And it became this kind of funny joke that went viral. But the truth is, 10 times out of 10, when you ask him what his problem is, it's you. 10 times out of 10, you ask him what's wrong with him, I promise you, 10 times out of 10, you're the problem. and he's too afraid to say it. And I'll tell you usually why he's too afraid to say it. Because he knows that if he says it, that he's going to lose out on physical intimacy. Because 9 times out of 10, women, when they are hurt, will punish their spouses by withholding physical intimacy. Now, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about your neighbor. But 9 times out of 10, when your neighbor is upset with their spouse, they're like, I feel like I've lost control. I'm going to take back some control. And usually that involves a very cold, sexless night. And so it's a form of manipulation. And you often see that play out in marriage. It's like, I feel like you hurt me. And the truth is, sometimes it's not even just form of manipulation. Sometimes it's like, I'm genuinely hurt and I don't know how to perform for you when I'm offended with you. A man can be angry with you and still sexually perform. It's amazing that a man can be so angry with you and still want sexual pleasure, because men are capable of compartmentalizing the argument from the person. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but listen, your marriage's health depends on the sexual health of your marriage. Your marriage's health depends on the sexual health of your marriage. Well, Pastor, I've given him sex. I've even laid there and I've even tried to pretend that I'm enjoying it and I'm not enjoying it. But he's still the same. He's still a bonehead. He still doesn't listen to a word I say, and he's not teachable. Well, then the question becomes of every marriage, do you want the truth? Because if you want a marriage that gives you the truth, you have to be woman, or woman. Where my woman at? You have to be willing to suspend your reaction. If you cannot, now you see this thing, the gag reflex? Have you seen those sword swallowers? Those sword swallowers, what they do is they train their gag reflex to not respond when the sword goes down the throat. So they have to do months of training. You see, you and I, if you stick your finger down your throat, you're going to throw up. You're going to want to puke. But those sword swallowers have trained their gag to not move. Now, women tend to have a offense reflex. It exists. It exists even when I do my woman teaching. There's always somebody in the comment section that goes, well, what about the man? I really feel like you're just speaking like a misogynist. I can't believe you're so misogynistic that you would come on here and tell this just doesn't sound like female empowerment. You will be shocked how many women are living in denial. And then that denialism is reinforced by other women who support entirely your denialism. Women will defend other women just because they're women. I know I'm not going to get many amens on this one, but it's okay. I'm just going to tell you all the truth anyway. Women will defend other women just because they're women. I have literally sat in games where I knew my wife cheated on the game. She's here right now, and she will testify. I knew she cheated. Everybody knew she cheated. But because she's on the women's team, all of the women who even saw her cheat will defend her just because she's a woman. It's like, don't touch my sister. And I'll be like, no, that's not how we play this game. We play by the rules. And then they'll all gather around and defend her just because she's a woman. Today, it's the same thing women will defend other women just because they're women, not because they're right. So be careful who you get your advice from. Be careful who you get your advice from. Be careful who you talk to. Because women, sometimes when they're in arguments, they go to their parents and they tell their mom, my husband did this. And listen, you'll forgive your husband. Your mother won't forgive him. Women tend to go to women, and those women will defend them, and then they'll reinforce the spirit of denial that they don't know they have. So you've got to understand that women are very protected today. Women are very protected today. I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many comments I get from women on my posts. And by the way, if you have a question, please write it down, or a disagreement, please write it down. I can't tell you how many women will write comments on my posts saying, this guy's misogynistic, this guy's this guy's not empowering to women. You know, so I think what they're saying is what empowers women is lies. Lie to me and you empower me. Don't tell me the truth and you empower me. Tell me what my daddy told me, that I'm his perfect princess, and I'm the best thing in the world, and men don't deserve me, and I'm gonna find a man, you know, that's truly worth my salt and whatever. And so women are very princessed. They're very cocooned by society today. And so most women never hear a man speak. They usually hear other women speak about men who know nothing about men. So when you have a ministry like WOAHMAN, that's actually like, okay, let me jump into the lioness's den and go in there and sit you down and actually tell you I'm mansplaining. I'm talking from a misogynistic perspective that doesn't understand the oppression of women over the years. And if you're living off of that preface, then you're in a very dangerous place, because then nobody can correct you and nobody can tell you actually when you're wrong or hold you accountable. And so you'll discover that most women have a wrong assessment of their marriage. A lot of women who think their marriages are doing well actually have a very wrong and skewed assessment of their marriage. A woman can argue with her spouse, have a fight, show up at church, and be holding his hand like nothing happened. And the brother's just sitting there going, what in the lying demonic hell is going on? Didn't we just argue on the way to church? And she's holding his hand in front of the pastor saying, oh, God bless you, pastor. My husband and I just, we just love each other so much. Oh, we just come back from Fiji doing missionary in Fiji. Oh, the gospel of Jesus is being spread. Isn't that right, Mark? Mark is sitting there going, what are we supposed to be doing here? Are we pretending that we didn't just argue and I didn't just say I want to divorce you and cuss you out in the car? Didn't we just swear at each other and say we want a divorce when we go home? Now we're holding hands like nothing's happened? So you'll find that women have a very skewed assessment of marriage because they're capable. I'm shocked at the capacity for denialism that exists in women. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by the strength of a woman to go from argument to pretense in like this kind of weird, suspended, everything's well, everything's okay. Women want the truth, but they don't want the truth. And the truth is, if you want openness and honesty, you're going to have to trade the fact that you might be heartbroken in the pursuit of that openness and honesty. So you might look and go, my husband had an affair. But the affair was where he fell. It wasn't where he slipped. Your husband may have been watching porn, but he couldn't tell you, I'm struggling with porn addiction. Because then you're big, am I not good enough? Is my body not good enough that you have to go on www and go to search this website? I don't understand. Then you'll feel betrayed. Then you'll be talking to all your girls and your girls are, he's doing what, girl? He watching. I'm sorry, I don't know why I went to that voice. I don't know where that came from. I apologize to anybody who is offended by that. But you'll go. Sorry, I clearly watch way too many movies. So you'll go to that girl and she'll be like, he did what? I can't believe it. To you, girl, you were 10. Girl, you had his babies and you snatched back, boo. I'm doing it again, aren't I? I'm doing it again. I apologize. But you'll be shocked. And then you'll come home and you'll feel empowered by the conversation you just had with your sister, who's divorced, by the way, and not doing well in her marriage. But you just had that conversation, now empowered. You'll react, and then the thing will get worse and worse and worse. And eventually a fake woman will become a woman on a chat site. And then a woman on a chat site will evolve into a real person. And it's only at the real person. It's only at the real person that you go, oh, you panic. But you could have caught it when it was a slip before it became a fall. But most women are not willing to engage in real conversation with their spouses. Real. Like, I am not going to judge you. Listen, let me tell you. I watched this on, how many remember My Wife and Kids? Who remembers My Wife and Kids? If you don't remember My Wife and Kids, you got to go back, download an app that has My Wife and Kids and watch it from episode 1 all the way to the end. It's the funniest thing you'll ever watch. But there's this moment in My Wife and Kids where they call for family time because somebody ate Michael J., who's the husband. They ate his, they took a bite out of his sandwich or something like that. And so he calls family time. And when he calls family time, the rule of family time is nobody is allowed to judge anybody. You can be as honest as you want in family time and there'll be zero repercussions. So, there's the wife blaming it on the kids. Maybe the kids ate the sandwich, everybody ate the sandwich. And then all of a sudden she's looking, she's like, so let me get this right. Again, nobody will be judged if we're honest and open. It's like, yeah. It's like, she said, I ate your sandwich. So he was like, you did what? He said, don't judge me, Michael. Don't judge me, Michael. You said openness and honesty, and no one's going to be judged. Every marriage needs that episode. Every marriage needs it. You need a space in your calendar once a week. I'm teaching you now. You need a space where the reality of your marriage can be assessed. Your marriage right now could be an overweight, obese person, clinically obese, diabetic, and you don't even know that you're dying slowly. Internal organs are shutting down. Fat, visceral fat has gathered. You see, most diabetics don't struggle from obvious fat. They struggle from visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that grows around your organs. It's the fat you don't see. Most marriages have visceral fat. The fat you don't see. The thing that stopped that healthy person's heart was the fat that nobody saw. And most marriages are not willing to go to an X-ray to discover their visceral fat. So every woman says, I want security. But security comes at the cost of truth. Trust comes with truth. And so before the marriage escalates to a decaying place, you have to be willing to engage with openness and honesty. Now, the reason a lot of women don't want openness and honesty is because they already know inside, deep down inside, they know the problems their husband has with them. Women are very smart, by the way. I've discovered that my wife is very smart. She already knows what's up. Most women already know what's up. Most women already know what's up. But it's, again, I will never understand a woman's propensity for denial whilst advocating for openness and honesty simultaneously. So you'll discover at the end of the marriage, the woman ends up angry. Why did your marriage end? She goes, I don't know. I cooked for him. I cleaned for him. I did everything right. I served him. I loved him. I guess he just went with another woman. I guess he just wanted somebody else. I guess he just wanted somebody younger than me. All men are the same. And you'll discover that you're saying all the things that are external fact issues, but you're not dealing with the visceral fact that was the problem. You're not dealing with the fact that your marriage had no place for openness and honesty that didn't involve everything he says being used against him in a court of law. You see, I feel like every marriage should come with in the vows, when you say, what do you think, Wendy? I think every marriage should start with, I take you to be my lawfully wedded, to have and to hold, from this day forth, to death do us part. And by the way, you have the right to remain silent, because anything you say can and optimally will be used against you in the court of law. And you have the right to an attorney if you want to bring one into our marriage right now before we begin. Because I will remember everything you said. I remember the day you said my rice was too salty. I'll remember the day you complimented Sister Jackie's rice. I'll remember the day you told me that my hips looked too big. I'll remember the day you told me that I looked a little bit awkward in that dress. I will never forget it. So most women wear a dress, and they go to their husband and they say, what do you think about this dress? And you can almost hear the theme music for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire playing in his head. You know that theme? Dun, 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 dun. And the lights go on him. Boom. And he's sitting there, sweats beating down his face. Boom, boom. What do? Do I phone a friend? Do I phone a friend? Can't phone a friend. She's asking me right now, I hate that dress. How do I get out of this one? And so do I tell her the truth? Do I lie? How do I do this? So you say, you look good. So what do you mean I look good? What do you mean what do you mean I look good? Is that it? Good. It's like, what happened? Did I say something wrong? Yeah, I need to look great. I want you to make me feel like the princess I feel in my brain. And if you can't match my brain princess, then get out of this room right now. So men opt for, baby, wear whatever you want to wear, because every time I tell you what to wear, or every time I tell you what I like, you go do the opposite. I tell you I like your hair curly, you go and make it straight. I tell you I like your hair long, you go and cut it short. It's like, well, baby, am I only dressing for you? You'll say, aren't I dressing for myself? Actually, you're not. Actually, the day you get married, your body is his, and his body is yours. And you have no right from that moment on to do the hair you want, boo. You got to do the hair he likes. And he has no right to dress the way he wants. He got to dress how you want. That's Esther. I only want to wear what the king tells me to wear. 9 times out of 10, you become a Vashti in your marriage. You dress up to go to your mom's house, and you dress down to see your husband. I'm not getting amens in this chat group right here. This chat room's turned into a bedroom. I don't know what's happened. Are you still here? You want to be a woe man? You want to be a woe man? You got to come to him one morning and say, baby, from now on, you're choosing my wardrobe. What would you like me to wear? That joker has no fashion sense, so you are scared. Your heart is beating. He's going to get you wearing something that's going to make you look like, I don't know, something crazy. But you're like, baby, whatever you want me to wear, whatever you think is gorgeous and appealing, I'm going to wear it for you. He's going to be like, whoa, man. What just happened? I mean, imagine taking him to Zara and he says, I like this on you, babe. And you don't argue. Oh, you're there, oh, babe, I hate it. I hate it. It's like, okay, then don't ask me my opinion. Why you keep coming to me asking my opinion, and then I give you my opinion and you just go and do the opposite of my opinion? I'm telling you your husband's issue. I'm telling you what you're never going to hear him say to you. Stop asking me how you look. Because last time I told you how you looked, I said I didn't like the dress. You cried that I called you fat. I didn't call you fat. I just said I don't like the dress. You called me. You said I'm fat. And you're eating the Twinkies. How dare you say I'm fat? Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Can you imagine? And he's thinking, all I said now is calling Apostle, say, Apostle, please come and help your daughter. She's crazy. I don't know who I married. I didn't call her fat. I just said, you've always had an issue with my weight. I told you I didn't want any more children. You did this to me. You made me this way. And I told you, I want you. I want you that you look at my stretch marks, look at my body. You're just staring at everything and you're upset with me now with the way I look. And all he said was, maybe not that dress. And so, my time is up, oh my goodness. If you want your marriage to succeed, you gotta create a place for openness and honesty. Marriages fail when you don't have that place. A man can only keep secrets for so long. A man can only keep secrets for so long. You know, I often say this, and I'll close with this. The reason most marriages end is, they say, because of affairs. But that, again, is the obvious fact. It's not the visceral fact. If we can really assess the state of why the marriage ended, whilst simultaneously not excusing the fact that men are more prone to infidelity. And by the way, your husband is 3 times more attractive to a woman because he's married to you. Just so you know. It's a phenomenon. Single men aren't attractive, but the moment they become married, 3 times more attractive. And by the way, if you think you're over him, there's nothing more attractive than your spouse on the arm of another woman. Just so you know. The grass may be greener on the other side, but so is the water bill. So the visceral fat is this. Let's look at the visceral fat. Let's really assess what happens, okay? Paint a scenario for you here. Men are entitled to a private life. I need to make that clear to every woman. If you want to save your marriage, you got to give your husband a private life. I'm not saying that he should have a phone, a spare phone. No. You should know every phone that Joker has, by the way. What I am saying is this. Every man is entitled to a private life. Men are refueled by their private life. Women are social creatures. Women are like lions. They love pride. Men are like jaguars. We're lone creatures. We only come into company to mate, and then we go back to our solace. Now I know women like to be by themselves, and there's some women going, well, I like being by myself. But women generally tend to be more social characters than men do. And so men need that private life. And that private life, let me tell you, a healthy private life, watching football without you there, going out with the boys, playing golf with his male friends. Man, if you're watching and you still got female friends and you're married and your best friend is a woman, you're a joker. You're playing around. If you want her to be your best friend, you should have married her. You got to get rid of that girl and make your wife number one, okay? But talking to men, your friends, your male friends, your golfing friends, when you get married, you should both choose the males and the females in your life. Don't assume that you're going to keep your friends. If you want to keep your friend, then you should have married her. The moment you marry your spouse, you forsake all others. That means both of you have to sit down and audit your friendships again together. And choose the healthiest. Marriage statistics show that divorce rates go up when one or two of the partners have a spouse or a friend, who's going through a divorce. Divorce is contagious. You got to choose your friends. Because let me tell you something. The person you friend zoned, the moment they got married, they became more attractive to you. It's getting quiet in this Baptist church. But the person you friend zoned, the moment they got engaged or married, they became more attractive. They no longer became friend. They now became, what are you doing? Leaving my friend zone without my permission. So everybody has to be wise. We have to be careful. When we get into marriage, we can't be in denial with ourselves. And by the way, married spouses tend to be more flirtatious than single ones. But we don't know we're doing it. But flirtation is incongruence. It's when you're saying one thing with your mouth and another thing with your body. And that's why we're in denial. We become more flirtatious. We start saying one thing with our mouth and another. Watch yourself. Check your body language. Check yourself around members of the opposite sex. You may be more jokey and more pushy and more touchy-feely. Catch yourself and slap yourself in the wrist and say, I repent. Because marriage says forsaking all others and choosing this person. My goal in life is to make my wife feel like the most secure woman in the world. And I have to admit, I haven't always succeeded in that. Especially being in ministry, where every woman sees you as a hero. Oh, he must be amazing. Oh, I need to see the man of God. Imagine my wife and everybody coming to her, when can I see Apostle? When can I see Apostle? When can I see Apostle? Imagine what that does. So I haven't always succeeded in that aim. I'm a lot better than I was. But you got to do that. You got to make your spouse feel secure. You got to make your spouse feel secure. Don't let her feel jealous. Don't let her question where you've been. Don't let us go, who is Susie? What are you doing with Susie? Oh, we're just talking. We're friends. We go out every now and again for coffee. Yeah, stop it. You're flirting. You're playing with the heat without touching the fire. If you wanted Susie, you should have married Susie. But now Susie's got to go. Somebody said, I repent. God bless you. Thank you. Let's finish. So you'll discover it's the visceral fat that kills the marriage. So, an affair is like a boulder. An affair is like a boulder. And so the affair is often the reason they're cited, because everybody knows when you throw a boulder in a puddle of water, the splash is immense. The fallout is catastrophic. Kids fall out. Everything falls out. In-laws become outlaws. Everybody hates you. The fallout is immense. But women are more like snipers. They're like silent assassins. Women don't drop boulders. They drop pebbles. So we cite the number one reason for divorce is affair. That's the boulder. Boulders block wells instantly. Pebbles block wells over time. So you'll discover that a lot of women don't have a good assessment for why their marriage failed because they're dropping pebbles and they don't know they're dropping pebbles. And so everybody in the universe notices his mistake because it was a boulder. It blocked the well. It ended the marriage. But nobody knows her mistake because hers were pebbles. Hers were laughing too loudly and embarrassing him in front of his friends. Hers were every now and again poking fun at him. Hers were colloquial language. Hers were, not taking care of her physical appearance. Hers were pebbles. Hers were, last time he told her how he feels, she used it against him in an argument, saying, remember what you said that time? This is why you're like this. Hers were, every time he said, I like it when you dress like this, she went and dressed the opposite. I like it when you make time for me. She went and did the opposite. Hers were not creating an environment that was safe to come home to create that openness and honesty. And so you're dropping pebbles. Hers was massive levels of disrespect pebbled over time. Like not listening or hearing or talking back to him or disagreeing with him or choosing other people's opinions over his. It was those pebbles. It was when you told him his vision may not work. It's those pebbles over time that blocked the well. And so we cite irresponsibly that affairs are the number one reason for divorce. Solomon tells us the number one reason for divorce. It's the little foxes that were in the vineyard of love, not the big one. The big one, your husband is the squeaky wheel, but he's not the only wheel in the marriage. And sadly, men make loud mistakes because in marriage they're forced into silence. So a man's mistakes are loud because his voice gets quieter the longer he gets married. And when a man gets quiet, you've got to treat it like when the kids get quiet in the house. Something's wrong. Did you hear what I just said? Something's wrong. Why are the kids quiet? When a man gets quiet, a woman thinks everything's okay. When a man gets quiet and he's no longer telling you stuff, he's no longer communicating with you, your marriage is dying slowly. Pebbles have been dropped in that he can't express to you. A man has to feel like he can come to a place where he can sit down with you and tell you, I have an issue with I love, how does a man tell his spouse, I miss when you took care of your physical appearance? Without a woman going, what, you want me to wear makeup every day? Is that what you're saying? I should wear makeup every day? Are you saying you don't like my face? No. That's not what I'm saying. Or how does a man tell his wife, I need you to be a little bit quieter? And then a woman, instead of being a little bit quieter, she goes silent. She just stops talking. She becomes a nun. It's like, that's not what I meant. I just meant I want you to consider other people in the room and listen to what other people have to say first. How do we create these environments for openness and honesty? How do we create the environment for, I really feel like we've both lost our way in our physical appearance. I entered into this thing and I love the way you took care of your body. I love the way you took care of your. Well, I had your 3 kids, and I had to push out your 3 kids whilst you were just sitting there. And look, what's your excuse? Look at your belly. Look at it hanging over your belt. How are you going to come to me and now tell me about my belly and my blah, 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 blah. How do you create the environment? You see, without sounding, you see, any man who tries to bring those things up is immediately castigated as misogynistic. So you discover at the top needs of a man: sexual intimacy, a recreational partner, somebody he can share his hobbies, his desires, his goals with, that can feed back with him. If it's politics, even if she doesn't care about politics, she's able to engage conversation about politics. A physically attractive spouse is at the top of his need. That means that there's a consistency. You know, that you woke up, you have a shower. No, I got to take care of the kids. No. You got to take care of you, because taking care of you is taking care of your husband, and taking care of your husband is taking care of the kids, because all the kids want to know is that they have a secure unit. Mom and dad love each other. That's all they want. When mom and dad don't love each other, the kids find a way to blame themselves. But let me tell you what most women do. They rush out of bed in the morning. They don't think, I've got to look good for my spouse. They think he understands that the kids are the number one priority in this house. Got to make sure they're fed. His selfish need for my presentation cannot take precedence, surely, over these cubs that need their cornflakes, the floor mop, the house tidy. All of these things need to be done. And he thinks that I have time to look decent for his silly head. Is he crazy? And so men retreat into, yes, society has told me my needs are misogynistic. And that resentment is another pebble in the water. It's building up over time. Those of you who are joining us on YouTube, I want to say thanks for joining us. I'm going to disconnect the feed now so that we can join a Q&A session. If you'd like to join the WOAHMAN community, I'm sure the link is in the description of this YouTube video. I encourage you to be sure to join us for it and be a part of a community that we're continually holding ourselves mutually accountable. I hope today was fair and balanced and dealt with some things that I hope are going to help you save your marriage. And if you want more and you want to join my mentorship challenge, I call it a mentorship challenge because I'm a man talking to women about women, and some people find that off-putting. But if you find it helpful, I encourage you to head on over to TomiArayomi.com/join and be a part of that community. Well, thank you for joining us. God bless you, and goodbye. And I'm going to take now some questions. So if you got a question, please raise your hand.
Okay.